Good morning. Welcome back to Wake Up with Carlyn. This week and lately, I've been noticing and recentering on the importance of slowing down and being in silence. Yesterday, I recorded an episode and it just wasn't clicking. It wasn't it. And I noticed myself getting frustrated. I'm like, oh, what am I doing wrong? The thing that I was doing wrong was I was just trying to go fast. I was in a rush. I wasn't savoring the moment. I wasn't sinking into it. I wasn't allowing myself the space of silence to actually hear what wanted to be said, what wanted to come through. And so here we are on Tuesday morning, recording it the same day, which was not the plan, but it feels right now. And like I said in past episodes, we can have plans, but life may have other plans for us. And when we're rushing, that's when we try to force our plan. That's when we try to mentally and logically figure things out. But life, it's not logical sometimes. The path isn't logical sometimes. And there is such wisdom in slowing down, going slow. You know, we can think of it like when we drive a car, when we're rushing to get somewhere, when we need to get there faster or we're running late. That's when we make wrong turns. That's when we're constantly switching lanes and ending up in the slowest one, right? But if we just chill, if we just sit back, put on some good music or a podcast or sit in silence and just sink in and know that I'm going to get there when I'm supposed to get there. No big deal. And what are you going to do? Maybe you're going to bend time, like I've also mentioned in the past. But bending time doesn't come from a stressed state. Maybe you can only bend time when you're relaxed, when you're in a state of play. And there's power in silence, in taking the space and the time to just sit in silence. You know, last week I mentioned that phrase that came in, I'm not my thoughts, I'm the observer of my thoughts, and how it really helped me. And it did. It was in that moment, in that space, in that thought that I was able to separate these two parts of me, the human ego part and the soul spirit side of things. This one that's always rushing, trying to figure things out, very much left brain, kind of feeling panicked and stressed sometimes. And then this one who's the ever-present, calm, relaxed, sees the bigger picture in things, knows that everything's going to turn out exactly as it's supposed to. In the beginning of my listening journey, let's call it, and actually listening to this other side of me, I started doing this exercise where I would sit, and we can do it right now, if you can, or just listen to me do it, either way. You just sit with your eyes closed, no sounds, and you simply listen. This practice is so good for learning to hear your intuition or perhaps the voice of God. But then you begin to notice all the sounds around you. If you have headphones in, maybe you can hear what's in my world right now. So we can hear the birds that are chirping. How many different birds are there? How many different types of birds are making noise? All the different frequencies and tones and patterns. And then we have the parrots. Thank you, parrots. And then we have cars on the road. How many cars does it sound like? Are they going fast or slow? In the distance, I can hear some motorcycles. Maybe I can hear a big truck. Is it a small truck? A big truck? A semi-truck? What are the sounds that you can hear? And as you do, begin to piece out each little sound. This creates such a beautiful spaciousness and a calm. And it's in this type of space that we're able to quiet down our mind. We're able to focus our intention, our attention on something other than the thoughts that are running in our minds. I find this to be super helpful for when I'm feeling like anxious, because I'm still doing a task, so that anxious part of me feels good, feels safe. But it takes myself out of my own head for a minute. And also in this, maybe we begin to hear some whispers of our intuition, of God, of your higher self, of that still, quiet part within you. This is something that I love to do. If your eyes are closed, you can open them now. It really helps me just recenter. And when I'm rushing, things don't go my way. Or, sometimes they do. But the beauty of slowness also is just that you get to savor every moment. You begin to notice the little things that are happening in the world around you. Maybe you notice some new flowers that are blooming, or you notice a little snail on the ground and you bend down and you just marvel at its little design, the two antennas that are coming out of its head that are really its eyeballs and how they move. What quirky little characters they are. I love snails. I love snails when I look at them through that lens. Just what are these creatures? In slowing down, we can notice more. We can hear more. We can begin to notice the feelings that we're actually having. And we can begin to separate from them. A lot of people talk about embodiment. When I was in my kind of chaotic, feeling lost state, embodiment was not what I needed. I'm going to be honest. Yes, this sitting here in silence, hearing the sounds, that certainly helped. But there were times when the world just felt so crushing and like everything was compressing around me. And so it wasn't that I needed to be in my body. I needed to separate from my humanness. So maybe right now the anxiety is a little high for you. So the exercise of sitting here, closing your eyes and listening to all these things, maybe that doesn't work right now because maybe your nervous system is still a little bit too on the fritz. Okay, so maybe we can try something else. And this is what worked for me. Embodiment, I was like, oh my God, get me out of this body, get me out of this humanness because I can't connect to the greater source of all things. That's what I needed. I needed to get out of my body temporarily so that I could reconnect with myself. But in that human state of overwhelm and anxiety and stress, I couldn't hear the divine. So for me, and maybe it's going to be the same for you, I had to separate from my humanness for a minute. I had to go outside of my body. I had to close my eyes. This is what I would do. And I still do it sometimes because I really love it. I close my eyes and I imagine that my consciousness is going up out of the top of my head. I just imagine, like, what would it look like if I was floating, my eyes were right above my head? What would the world look like? Obviously, my eyes are, I don't know, maybe like 12 inches lower right now, so it's a little bit of a different perspective. And then can I go up a little more? A little more? Can I go up through the tree that's above me? What does it feel like when I go through the leaves? You use your imagination. Your imagination is so key in all of these things. Gosh, it just makes life so much more wonderful. Okay, so I move up through the tree above me. Maybe you're in a building, so your body smoothly moves through the ceiling that you're in. And I go up, up, up. I am now moving up into the sky. And I notice I can look down at earth and I can see what my neighborhood looks like. I can see what the houses look like, what the streets look like. Just use your imagination. And if you start second guessing yourself, just stop it. We're just playing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be perfect. And then I keep going up, up, up. I'm getting up in the clouds. Maybe I pass some clouds. I feel that mist on my energy body. And then every time I go through the atmosphere, I feel this little like pop. And then I go up into space. And I notice how it feels a little different and how it's utterly silent here. Just imagine what it would be like to be in space. And you're safe. You're not in your physical body. You're okay. just sit here in space in this silence. And one thing that I really love to do is I like to imagine that I'm just zooming around the planets and the stars. So I just, imagine that I'm zooming in this energy body that I have, zooming around different things. And maybe I imagine that there's a portal in front of me. There's like this swirling light, or maybe there's this gorgeous arch of lavender light, and I go through it. And what's on the other side? I just use my imagination. Sometimes it's stillness. Sometimes it's a white space. Sometimes it's more stars or another galaxy. Maybe I'm in front of a planet that I've never seen before. Maybe I've seen it in a movie. That's okay too. It's okay to use other references. But just getting out of my human and into this imaginative state of play feels so good. It feels so good. And then once I've had enough time and space, then I just zoom back down, feel myself going through the atmosphere, back onto Earth, zooming down from space. And now I can see the big tree in my backyard. Getting closer and closer, I go through the tree and back into my body. That's something that I love to do. The silence is so powerful. Using our imagination is so powerful. The first key to all of this is noticing when maybe you're using distraction. Maybe you're rushing through life. You're wanting to try and figure things out. You're trying to logic your way through everything. But maybe logic isn't what you need right now. Or maybe you notice that you're feeling extreme sadness, or maybe just a little bit, or you're feeling a little anxious, or maybe you're in the middle of a conversation and you notice that you're rambling and maybe you don't really believe what you're saying, or maybe you're having an argument with someone and you realize it's going nowhere. And also, what are you doing in that argument? Are you just trying to prove that you're right? Can you take a step back? Can you have a moment of awareness of, oof, I see what I'm doing right now. I see what I'm feeling right now. Let me just take a minute. Maybe the person that I'm talking to, I need to take a pause. I realize I'm saying things I don't really mean. And so I just need to take a pause for a minute. And if you're rushing through life, maybe you just take a minute and you pause and you take a few breaths. Or you go sit in your car. If you're at work and you're feeling stressed, go sit in your car and do this little out of the top of your head and into space exercise. This playful imagination, this thought experiment, as Einstein might say. These are just some little things that we can do to slow back down, to start to become comfortable in the silence, because it's in the silence that we find that we are connected to it all, that we can feel our connection to God or to the greater thing in life, or to our soul, or simply to peace. Ram Dass has this quote that says, "The quieter you become, the more you can hear." And it's so true. You begin to tap into the greater sense of everything. And kind of like how the Gateway tapes talked about, when you can relax your body, then you can connect to this absolute. I know I keep coming back to that, but there's a lot of goodness in there. And Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is a poor translation." Can we sink into that? So this week, can we bring in more awareness? Can we notice when we're feeling these emotions? Can we notice when we're rambling, when we're rushing? And can we bring in this other voice, this voice that comes in from stillness, that's all loving, ever present, the quiet small whisper, as some call it? Can we begin to hear that guidance? Because I know that yesterday when I was rushing, trying to record, trying to edit, oh my gosh, I felt so just disconnected. It was not pleasant. But last night I meditated, which felt great. I got calm. This morning I woke up and I knew exactly what needed to be said. It was in the rushing, in the trying to figure it out, that you could say, blocked what wanted to come in. But when I take the time to slow down, to be in silence, that's when I can hear God, my soul, that's when I can connect to the everything around me. And there's one more quote that I want to read from Eckhart Tolle. True intelligence operates silently. Stillness is where creativity and solutions to problems are found. So we don't have to figure it out with our logical mind. We don't have to plan. Maybe, yeah, there's a time for that, but maybe the first step in any of it, the first step in creating a plan, the first step in figuring out where you want to go or how to be in a relationship is just being in stillness. And once you try out being in silence, seeing how good it feels, going slow, seeing how rich that feels, because it really does, that luxurious feeling of going slow, of not being in a rush, of truly savoring every moment, every conversation, I think you might like it once you start doing it. I know that I do. It's so easy to get caught up and forget to do it again, but we can always come back to it. Always. So this week, let's make some time to be in silence. Make some time to be with stillness and see where it might lead. Because we might find that it connects us to this greater sense of love and peace, your soul, maybe God. And maybe you won't want to go without it again. Thank you for joining me today.